old world technologies, such as bells, which would send out resonant frequencies into the community beyond. So many photos of bells being rounded up all over Europe. We're living in a time where we're waking up to what we so recently had.
You guys better lock in and buckle up, because we got another banger for you today. All types of disturbing, mysterious videos that no one can explain. Hit that like and subscribe button as we try to make sense of all this madness.
Products that got discontinued for solving the problem. Number 1. The car that ran off plants. In the 1940s, Henry Ford made a car out of hemp, not metal plants, lighter than steel. He struck it with an axe on camera to prove it couldn't dent. His plan was to grow the fuel also, not drill for it. Then literally overnight, hemp got banned across the country. The car disappeared, project died, and the world remained dependent on oil. Number 2. The car that needed zero fuel. In the 1930s, Nikola Tesla was rumored to have modified an ordinary car to run without gasoline. No engine, no fuel tank, just a device he installed himself. Witnesses said it drove for days without stopping. Then this story disappeared. Device was never shown again. No one ever got to test it, and Tesla never spoke about it publicly again. Number 3.
What was that car? Was it an etheric charging?
The tire that never tired out. In the 1990s, engineers at Goodyear constructed a tire compound that could last for decades without requiring replacement. Fewer blowouts, less waste, almost no maintenance. Then the prototypes quietly disappeared. No announcement, no explanation. Just gone because a tire that lasts forever means you never buy another one.
We have not one $5,000 bill, not two, but three. What's even more remarkable, there's an exceptional $10,000 to top that all off. Here we have not one five.
Who knew that there was a such thing as a $5,000 bill? And a $10,000 bill? That is crazy. I thought there was just, what, a $2 bill? I actually had one a long time ago. I don't know what happened to it, but I do remember the $2 bills and the, what was it, the Sacagawea coins? The gold Sacagawea coins? That's all I knew, but check this out. $5,000 and a $10,000 bill. I wonder what else type of rare currency is out there.
Is food really as expensive in the Arctic Circle as people say it is? Let's go find out. 2 liters of chalky milk was just shy of $15, and the liter jugs were about $9. The various Cracker Barrel bags of shredded cheese were all $15 each. 4 previously frozen chicken breasts will set you back $42. In case you ever wondered why there's so few fat people up north, it's because the cookies are $13 each. 10-pack of iced tea juice boxes will set you back $12.29. Apple juice is even more outrageous at $24 for a 4 liter. Cranberry juice is not much better at $14 for a 2. Honestly, the craziest thing out of all of it is a 24-pack of no-name bottled water was $32, bud. Doing their part to combat obesity again, we got $9.49 for a 2 liter of Coke. Moving on to produce, we got $9.49 for a bag of onions, a bag of celery stalks for $11.50. You gotta take out a second mortgage on your house and sell your firstborn for a bag of jalapenos because they're $20.19. Nobody's getting their potassium up here because bananas are $9.29. And good luck to all the swinger couples up here because small pineapples tip the scales at $11.30 each. Now, I wasn't about to walk around their store for an hour taking pictures without buying something to support the local community, so I grabbed a fancy Lunchable, some banana chips, and a couple apples. Throw in a couple reusable grocery bags for a souvenir, and the total on that was $18. I also grabbed a 3-piece chicken meal for $20.99.
3-piece chicken for $20.99? How are they getting away with this? Those are revelation prices, aren't they?
All in all, paid about $40 for some heartburn and a couple farts. Is food really as expensive in the...
I wonder, what are they doing out there? What's the point of trying to survive out there? They got KFC right there. How much are they gonna want for a bucket of chicken?
Living off the land is hard work, but we've been doing it for 12 years now and are still going strong. Here are 5 things we do and don't do to keep this lifestyle doable. Number 1, I cook embarrassingly simple meals. No fancy casseroles going on in this house, just simple meat and potato meals. Number 2, I stick to tried and true plant varieties in my homestead garden. No exotic experiments, just simple, versatile foods that we love enough to eat over and over again. Number 3, we don't raise a ton of animals, just cows and chickens. We get eggs, broth, chicken, and loads of steak and burger from them. Number 4, the bulk of our garden vegetables get stored in a cold room. No blanching, canning, or freezing. We just cure the veggies and store them in our cold room all winter long. Number 5, I do minimal winter gardening. Aside from a cold frame with salad greens in it, I skip the winter gardening, at least for now, while my kids are still young. Simplicity is the key. It's how we've managed to live this life for over a decade and still love it.
$35,000 bowling championship on the line. And you won't believe this.
This is a big shot right here.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
I think about my
Hans needs to
calculations.
strike here in order to give his team a chance to win the total.
That's £200 off for a family of 4. Millions of free Chelsea holiday
This is the UVA. That's what they do.
baggage.
You get every advantage you can.
This is a big shot right here.
Nothing beats
They started yelling for $35 on the line. If your opponent's about to go, you about to start hollering too? Oh man. Put on the noise canceling headphones and lock in. It's not your truck anymore. They won.
So look, this video right here that I'm gonna play y'all is the reason why I got me an old school truck. And this dude is gonna explain to y'all why y'all should be careful on buying these new cars and trucks. Look, check this shit out.
Come on. No.
Now imagine there was an emergency outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift, because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive. Now that's not science fiction, that is happening because Ford just filed the patents. Ford actually has a series of patents down at the U.S. Patent and Trade Office that deal with the sensors and cameras inside the cab of their truck. And if the sensors in that truck determine that you're not fit to drive, that truck will not actually shift from park to drive.
I think that kind of sounds like the thing that they put inside people that have alcoholic machines. It was a dude I used to work with, and before he could drive home, he had to like blow into the machine, he was telling us. Now, I don't know too much about that, but that's just what he was saying.
I already have a system called telematics, and that's where they can actually pull up cameras in real time inside the cab of their fleet vehicles. Now, they actually market this to insurance companies, because the truth is, this is really about who owns the data and who owns the liability. Now, your name might actually be on the title of this truck, and you may have paid for it, but you don't own it. Now, Ford didn't file just one patent. They filed a stack of them, all within months of each other. Are you sitting down? Get this. This Ford technology patent doesn't just watch you. This one puts you in jail. Ford filed a patent, serial number 0104469, where the system takes your biometric data, your face, your iris, and your fingerprint, and it runs it through a criminal database in real time.
I ain't trying to, if you got a Ford new truck and you like it and it's working for you, I'm happy for you. But I could never be one just to drop 6 figures on a new truck, like them Ford 250s. Them things cost what? 6 figures, don't they? I mean, if you're using it for work, you gotta haul it, you pulling bobcats all day, go for it, But I'm with my man here. I want an old school. The truck I got now, my old truck I got now, is rusted, don't got AC in it, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gotta worry about no cameras or no fingerprint or nothing popping off on it.
While you're sitting in your own truck, think about what that means. You wake up one morning, you walk out to your driveway, you climb into a vehicle with your name on the title, on property with your name on the deed. And before you go anywhere, before you've done a single thing.
And I own my truck, no note. That's another, thing about it. You gotta pay that note plus interest, full cover insurance. Y'all know the ropes. I was getting an oil change one time, and the dude shut my hood, and he said, man, you got a 3-inch gap on your hood. I said, 1-inch gap. Now shut my hood. Because I guess my truck originally got hit by a deer, and then it got, they fixed it and brought it back together, so I got a real good deal on it. Like $3,500. It was either 35 or 38. Pickup truck.
Wrong. Your truck is already running your face through a law enforcement database. Ford's own patent language describes this as potentially useful for police. They wrote that. Ford wrote that into the patent application. So the question isn't whether this technology can be abused. Ford already told you who it's for. You just didn't know that you were buying a cop car. Now I'm going to walk you through a few of these patents. Lip reading, cameras inside your cab, machine learning trained on lip movement datasets, cloud connected, your face processed somewhere you'll never see, stored as long as they want. Acoustic lip reading, if the cameras aren't enough, the system emits inaudible sound waves and reads the echoes bouncing off of your mouth. You can't see it, it's just happening. Biometrics, your face, fingerprint, iris, filed February 2024, and it was published August 2025. This one is assigned a serial number because it's real. Ad listening. This is scary. It monitors conversations between everyone in the cab. It serves targeted ads based on what you and others are talking about while you're driving.
Wow. So if you driving that new Ford and you think you having a private conversation, no sir. And I'll be honest, before we get any further, those new Ford 250s, F-250, they look good. I'm gonna be honest, they look nice. But is it worth your truck snitching on you on every little thing you do to be riding around feeling like a big shot?
In Ford's words, maximum opportunity for ad-based monetization. No description of how that data is protected either. None. How about Ford Pro Telematics? Now this one isn't a patent. This one is actually a product page. Right now, fleet managers can pull live in-cabin video feeds of drivers on their phones. Ford markets seatbelt compliance alerts with the explicit benefit of lowering insurance costs. They said it themselves. This is the infrastructure, and once the infrastructure exists, it's going to get used and abused. Now, Ford isn't alone in this. This is an arms race. Smart Eye driver monitoring software is already in over 2 million cars globally. The EU's general safety regulation mandates drowsiness systems as standard equipment going forward.
I'm just trying to put y'all up on game on what's coming down the pipeline, especially for all of y'all that like to keep up with the Joneses and get all these newer cars and newer trucks every year.
I can't tell you how many people I know that's trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it's not looking or working good for them. It's not at all. Again, if you got a Ford, a new Ford, and you can handle it, you got it off of auction, and you rip the schematics out, and it's still safe to drive. Hey, more power to you. But I like the old school trucks, the old school cars. It's got like a certain charm about them, man. You can't Google 39 years of experience.
If you want to make it easy on yourself, put it in 4 low, and it'll walk right out. If you want to make it easy on yourself, put it in 4 low, and it'll walk right out of that belly. Gotcha. No spinning, no sliding.
I'll do that.
Little tricks. When you're loading trucks here, get you some extra height.
There's no way. Hell.
Another trick. I'll show you another trick.
Okay.
You better get your notepad out, take notes. Old school, letting them all go.
These straps here, hook it on this inside row, right at the bend. Take your hook, stick it in there, and go over and drop this deck. The back of that truck's gonna go.
Damn. Oh, leash. That's nice.
And now you don't have to worry about the back bouncing at all. Keep an eye on your pinch point.
Yeah.
I saw you looking back there, and I'm like, oh!
Scare the shit out of me, man.
That's my job. If If you want to make it easy on yourself.
Is this the truth about Humpty Dumpty?
Was Humpty Dumpty the nursery rhyme based off of a black king? It is widely speculated that Humpty Dumpty was based off of the fall of Richard III. It was somewhat of a mockery, but you would have to ask yourself, what did he do to make everyone that mad? But before we get there, I would have to show you that everyone in this story are black. This is my first source, the Oxford Illustrated History of the British Monarchy, and I quote, "The stone heads crowned of King Edward I." This is Edward I. Look at his phenotype. He is very black. Now let's get his description, and I quote, "Higher than ordinary men by head and shoulders, and thereof called Longshanks, of a swarthy complexion, strong of body, but lean, of a comely favor, his eyes in his anger sparkling like fire, the hair of his head black and curled." This is an actual statue of him. He's black. This is my next source, the Plantagenet Encyclopedia. This is his son, Edward II. His hair isn't actually blonde. It was actually jet black like his father's, but just for creative liberties, they did this. This is Edward III, and this is another picture of Edward III. Now this is Edward IV. His name was the Black Prince, and many scholars are confused on why he got the name the Black Prince. Well, you and I both know that he comes from a black lineage. This is a reconstruction of the first Bretons. Now let's go back to the book British Monarchies. This is Richard I, and he had a relative farther down named Richard III. This is my next source, the Plantagenet Encyclopedia, and I quote, "The belief that Richard was hunchback is not supported in contemporary sources, which describe him as dark, short, and slight with uneven shoulders." So now that we know that he's black, here's the story. Edward IV, the Black Prince, assigned Richard III as a regent until his son Edward V was able to rule the kingdom. Edward IV passed away, so his son was next up to rule. However, Richard III assassinated both of his nephews. This act made him hated by everyone. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Richard III sat on the throne of England. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Richard III fell to Henry VII, to the Tudor family. All the king's horses and all the king's men. The king's horses was William Casby, a black knight. Couldn't put Humpty together again. They called him Humpty because of his hump back, but he never had a hump back. He had scoliosis. Was Humpty Dumpty the nursery rhyme?
That is crazy.
That's nice.
Oh no, there ain't no way you can get me to go down there. Send a drone. Oh man. When they put stuff here, I have a feeling they didn't want anybody to go back down there.
Miners found a dinosaur mummy by accident. In 2011, deep in Alberta's oil sands, they uncovered something unreal, a 110-million-year-old armored dinosaur. Its skin was still there, its scales, its armor plates, even traces of its last meal. They named it Borealopelta, and scientists call it one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever found. Not just bones, a frozen message from the Cretaceous.
Is our history recorded in stonework? Okay, it's got a turtle by the looks of it. And elephant. Wow, so was the turtle the same size as the elephant? What is that? It looks like a tree. So they had to have massive turtles and elephants. And whatever this hybrid creature is man, add it to the list.
Demons make you go to sleep. There's a spirit of slumber. It's referred to both in the Old and the New Testament. Have you ever considered that you can sit up till 2 a.m. watching something that you probably shouldn't be watching on the television? But if you decide to read your Bible, you go to sleep in 10 minutes. Is that right? That's not natural. There's something there that doesn't mind your watching television. In fact, probably wants you to watch it, but does mind your reading the Bible or praying. Demons make you go to sleep.
Interesting. All right, guys, you know what time it is. Let's go ahead and dig off in the archive. We have a lot of new subscribers and members and viewers that haven't seen these, and these need to be brought back up to the light. That being said, let's dive on in, bucko!
They are actually shape-shifting. Well, there's a lot of truth in that movie. They live, there is a sound, there is a frequency that's being beamed out, which enables these aliens to look in human form. And when he breaks this frequency, then they're all seen. I've noticed since we've changed to digital now, my senses have become extremely heightened. When you turn the volume down, I hear this sound frequency coming from the television that completely messes with my pineal gland.
Now, this is important because another member, he had devised a device to encrypt records on CDs so that it wouldn't be able to be copied, a type of acoustic as opposed to some kind of digital trademark encryption. Right. And when he played this in the record executive of the board, a number of the board just freaked out because they were reptilian. So there's a particular sound
that they cannot stand.
Yes.
It alters the holographic projection that they're keeping. It's a misconception that they are actually shape-shifting. Some are, but it's a misconception. Yeah. What they're actually doing is altering your visual cortex to make you think you're seeing them that way.
Absolutely, yes.
They're not actually looking that way. They've just manipulated your mind to think that they are.
And that must work through all kind of visual media. Otherwise, you'd see a lot of these aliens walking around on TV.
Absolutely, yeah. I've noticed a lot of news readers, because they're doing that as an indoctrination and conditioning, because they're the ones who are in your house every day. Look carefully at the news readers. It's slowly drip to accept the conception that they are actually shape-shifting.
Yeah,
Interesting. He said that's a sound they actually cannot stand. It makes you wonder what happened to all those ancient bells. The reptilians couldn't shapeshift if they got all these giant ancient bells ringing in each large city, warding them off. It makes sense why they got rid of all the ancient bells. Look at all these giant thousands of bells. They said they took the metal and used it for ammunition is the story. But do you know how many reptilians, Draco reptilians, that thing is warding off every time it goes off every hour? I heard a clock once, and I believe, what was it, like a grandfather clock? And doesn't like the bell go off like every hour? Or is it just 12 o'clock? I'm not sure, but maybe there's more to that meaning than that bell going off every hour or 12 o'clock. Even in London, what was it? The Big Ben. That clock goes off every so often. And people are like, man, it goes off so much. It's annoying. Man, they trying to protect y'all low key. It's sound healing frequency. Ask yourself, what chipped this bell? You know what I'm saying? How did they move it? I got two questions. How did they move this bell, and what chipped it? Was a giant trying to ward off the Draco reptilians at the last frontier? Hit the bell, ward them off. He hit it so hard it snapped off. Y'all tell me. Look at this. It's like they're in they got the natural animal clothing on. They don't have any type of industrial machines that can, lift that bell. Some type of ancient technology put that there, if you ask me.
The way bells are rung in Asia is completely different from the rest of the world. Unlike Western church bells, they have no clapper inside. Bansho bells are cast extremely thick and massive, so they're struck from the outside. A huge wooden log called a shumoku, often weighing hundreds of kilos, hits a reinforced point known as the tsukiza to produce not a sharp ring, but a deep, body-felt resonance that lingers. The way bells are rung in Asia is completely different.
I'm sorry, but look at the form when they're hitting these bells. You know, they pulling that back with all they might. Hey, look, he put his arm out so you guys could know it's about to hit. Hey, you know? He put his all into that. Look at my man. He laid down on the ground before he hit that bell. He said, y'all need to, everybody back up. Give me some room. Watch this. You know? They trying to ward them damn demons off. I would like to see one of these ancient bells get made today. Honestly. Who knows how long that boy been there?
I had a dream that my grandfather told me the Holy Grail was never a cup, it was always a bell, and to look for my ancestors before the 1700s. So at first, I went looking for the first part of that dream and got thwarted. So I went looking for my ancestors instead. Meet the Reverend John 10-shilling Bell Chastain, my ancestor and French Huguenot. If you didn't know, the Huguenots were chased out of France by the Catholics. So I went looking for bells in France. And what the heck? I was today years old when I learned the French people used to tell their kids that the bells flew to see the Pope on Easter.
Who's to say they're not a giant bell on a frequency flying around? You know, is it that hard to believe? Because people experiment with levitation using frequency and vibration. If you hit the bells just right, you know, is it that far-fetched that they can levitate?
Which I'm sure is a coincidence considering this guy also flies around with bells on, but I digress. So I decided to go back further, found some old friends that you guys might recognize there, and found out that if you ring bells up, they look like cups. Also found out that Pythagoras was interested in bells. But in general, bells were made in the East, in Asia, not in Europe. And so you'll see that bells were associated in medieval art with creatures and monsters, rather than with nobility, or even the church, until you reach this guy.
I want to give you guys a quick, interesting correlation. On the game Elden Ring, you can summon a spirit by ringing bells. So maybe there's different frequencies that do different things. So her saying that, so seeing this demon holding a bell right here, or whatever that is, a Draco reptilian holding bells, here, ring this so you can summon us. I don't know. Maybe it's certain frequencies that can ward off the reptilians. I don't know. It gets deep.
Art with creatures and monsters, rather than with nobility, or even the church, until you reach this guy. This is King Louis, and he went on crusades and supposedly met the Knights Templar themselves. After that, bells became fashionable with the church and everybody else. So you see here some later medieval paintings and such, depicting bells in a more positive way with nobility. This is supposedly King David, so this is religious. Here's some more King David. But then we reach this gap in the art where there's just not a lot of bell art for a long time, until actual photographs of these very large bells start showing. And of course, that's the Liberty Bell. It's been cracked. These are bells that were confiscated apparently during World War II and World War I. Look at the number of them. And I just can't believe they didn't show it more in the art. Just super weird to me. But I'm sure it has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with this.
Hold the phone. The Diglocka. They're saying that the It rhymes with paparazzi, but it's an N. Use these to time travel. You know, the Diglocka. That's a dive.
Probably has nothing to do with the people in this photo that they're talking about. Here's an existing bell and has a really interesting inscription. I'll run that through the Google Translate for you. There's a fun little Easter egg.
Let's read it. I am now the mute witness to the terrible fire which on June 27, 1966 completely ravaged the church rebuild here. The living buried on the earth. The Tartarians, hold on. Stay with me. The Tartarians, the FVL, the Mina Pelio in 1678. I scream of joy, honor of the celestial beings. I call the living. I cry for the... I'm trying, guys.
An existing bell and has a really interesting inscription. I'll run that through the Google Translate for you.
I cried for the living. How are we supposed to read it? And you're putting words in front of us. The deadly. I repel threatening lightning. Okay, so basically from this translation, I'm getting the bells was repelling something. This was like a last stand type deal.
There's a fun little Easter egg. Sure, that has nothing to do with this, right?
Hold the phone. We got giants carrying these bells. You know, not all giants was bad guys. I'm sure that we read in the book of Enoch, some were devouring everything, but you might have had literal giants from. Not all giants I'm starting to see were bad guys. You know, just because they're big, you might have had some on your team. It might have been a last stand. Giants, smaller humans, descendants of, the larger people. Might have had a last stand against reptilians or something else. You know what I'm saying? Working together, warding off evil. This is fascinating. If you have more information on giants and bells, drop it in the comments below. That's fascinating.
And probably nothing to do with these tiny castles either, right?
Those aren't tiny castles. Those are real life castles, and the humans are giant.
But anyway, if you didn't know, now you know that the largest swinging bell is in Kentucky, where my ancestors also lived. Have a great day.
People in the comments are saying the Holy Grail had a specific frequency. Because isn't the Holy Grail supposed to be like a cup? But how interesting that if it was a bell. Wow. Definitely makes you think. People are always saying that some bells are supposed to be hit with mallets, not rung. When you hit it with a mallet, it's a completely different sound and vibration. Yeah, and they also had those weird, it looked like a metal spiral. I forget the names, but it was like two little metal ends and it connected, and you're supposed to tap the bells with that too. So, bells could have multiple different frequencies. It could repel something, it could summon something, it could heal something. It's just all about how you use the frequencies. Interesting.
And that sound and that feeling, that is the frequency and vibrations. What the old world used so predominantly. And the true reason behind all the bells that magically disappeared. Or they tell us it was for ammunition for the wars. But many truths get lost in the fog of war. The healing and uplifting properties of bells have been used for generations. But it goes deeper than that. moving us from the true nature of this realm, making us all that much easier to control. Question everything, friend.
You got to think about the movie Venom. You remember Venom when at the end, in order to get that demon up off him, that symbiote, what happened? He used to have to hit that bell, and next thing you know, the symbiote started coming off of what was his name? Eddie? I forgot his name. But yeah, it'll come off of him, you know, as soon as that bell rang on Spider-Man. If you got any other bell references, put it in the comments below. I remember one of you guys was mentioning Tekken, like an old school Tekken that they had bells in the back and it did something. I forgot that reference, but there's a lot of references when it comes to bells and frequencies.
Across ancient Japan, strange bronze bells, called Dōtaku, were buried in remote hills. They're decorated with animals, boats, and geometric patterns, but they barely make a sound. Some believe they were ritual offerings. Others think they were never meant to ring. Why create thousands of bells just to hide them underground? Across ancient Japan, strange...
I don't think they're hitting it right. You gotta hit it right to make it activate.
Old world technologies, such as bells, which would send out resonant frequencies into the community beyond. So many photos of bells being rounded up all over Europe. We're living in a time where we're waking up to what we so recently had.
Organ is a healing machine. That's why it was integral to the construction of ancient Gothic cathedrals, was the centerpiece. Now, around the building, up, down, around, beneath, you had pipes and essentially speakers.
They placed these beautiful organs under these stained glass windows, which are treated with lead and specific properties. And these, they work like car speakers. They augment the resonance and the sound out into the ether outside. So everyone outside in the community is invigorated, is on a higher state of consciousness, literally being the best they can. And you can see it in the pictures of these people in the day. Everyone is healthy.
Live, authentic pipe organ performance will tell you your bones rattle, your organs start to respond, your hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Sit there and saturate in the healing frequencies yourself. Cathedrals are something beyond just a center for worship. They are healing machines. And the pipe organ of the cathedral is just one tiny little finger of this whole realm that we're talking about.
You've got starports, which I call a gateway topic because the same structure exists all over the earth, have been given to us as fortifications that were built for these different wars, which made them military targets, and they have an excuse for why it was destroyed.
If you look at photos of even the buildings that still exist of the old world, they always give a backstory for why they took them down, but it's just curious why so many towers are missing now. And so Pioneer Square is one of those examples. And this was built in the immediate aftermath of the fire in 1889. Is curious because it appears on a real estate map from before the fire in a fully and intact form.
In order for stone to burn down, it has to reach 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. House fire reaches the temperature of 1,000 degrees. That's half.
This is exactly why my fireplace right here is made of brick and stone, because it doesn't melt. Forest fires are going to be melting brick and stone. Use your head, guys.
As they are busy dismantling it in the 3D reality that we experience, it was part of a program to dismantle the old world technologies.
That was an excellent video. Man, this video is absolutely cooking. If you love this type of content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out, helps the algorithm out, helps get this into more like-minded individuals, and I can keep pumping these bangers out for us. With that being said, let's dive straight back in. I'm just getting warmed up.
In my opinion, this technology had something to do with these pagodas in Yangon, and here's why. These pagodas, to me, look like wireless antennas or receivers of some kind. And number two, we know that gold is a great conductor of electricity and is corrosion resistant. And number three, we know that diamonds today are used in high-frequency applications like semiconductors, quantum computers, and are used for thermal management in electronic devices. And finally, we also know about the Great Bell of Damazetti, which existed in Yangon until it went missing in 1608, when it was allegedly stolen and destroyed by the Portuguese. This thing was reported to weigh over 300 tons, which is 100 tons larger than even the Tsar bell in Russia, which was never rang because it broke during its casting anyways. So what am I suggesting about the Great Bell of Damazetti? What I am saying is that these pagodas may have been some form of wireless receiver, and their primary transmitter, which they received a signal from, was the Great Bell of Damazetti. The Great Bell was tuned to the resonant frequency of the pagodas surrounding it. Another factor at play here. In my opinion, this technology had something to do with...
Who is this? Let me see if I can find part one. Alright guys, I found it. Man, it took some digging, but I found it.
Located in the nation of Burma, or Myanmar as it is officially known today. This place is absolutely mind-blowing to look at, and its history is even more incredible. We're going to talk about it all today. First, I want to take a look at these spires. They are everywhere in this city, thousands of them, and they are all made of solid gold. They also have diamond finials mounted into their peaks. These are referred to as pagodas by the local Buddhist population. The vast majority of them were said to have been built over 2,000 years ago, during a time where the actual Buddhas were alive. The most famous pagoda in Yangon is the Great Huguenot Pagoda, which stands 325 feet tall and 430 feet in circumference. It is plated with 60 tons of solid gold and a 76-carat diamond on top. This thing is absolutely insane and is one of the most incredible pieces of old world technology I've personally ever seen. What I find really interesting about these pagodas is that the people of Yangon will openly tell you that they were built by the Buddhas, and they tell us that during the time of the Buddhas, telepathy was possible, teleportation was possible, and they could even take forms of other beings and disguise themselves. If you take these stories at face value, like I do, then you probably also realize that this wasn't some form of magic or miracle work. These abilities were a form of high technology. So how did they do it? And where did this technology go? Located in the nation of Burma, or Myanmar as...
And that's where that bell came into play. Guys, it makes sense. Look at these people. Look at how they have these antennas that match the same structures. What if those bells were getting rid of all the parasites, just flushing their body out? Man, that would be crazy to think. Telepathy, maybe they didn't have to talk using those things. How fascinating is this? Who is this? If you guys know this content creator, please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear more about this. This isn't posted from the original account, I know that, but if you guys know the actual content creator that's talking about this stuff, man, he's kind of giving me lunch break vibes. I would love to learn more. Let me see if I can find any more. Because a lot of these clips just come from random accounts that's like reposting, so it's hard to find like the original content creator. Some of you guys will be getting mad at me like, Chuck, play more. Man, sometimes that's all they literally got.
Another factor at play here may have been the concept of atmospheric electricity and corona discharge. Atmospheric electricity refers to natural electrical phenomena in the Earth's atmosphere, such as lightning, thunderstorms, and the continuous atmospheric electric baseline, or global electric circuit, that is constantly in the air around us at all times. Corona discharge is a process where a current flows from an electrode with a high voltage into the air surrounding it, creating a luminous glow and ionizing the air. Another phrase for this is called St. Elmo's fire. Here's an example of this phenomenon actually occurring at one of these very pagodas. Another factor at play here may have been the concept of atmospheric electricity and corona. So I'm going to try my best now to break down this concept of resonant frequencies for you guys even more. Again, my hypothesis here surrounding Yangon stems on the idea that the pagoda were wireless receivers, and the surrounding bells, like the Great Bell of Damazetti, were the wireless transmitters. Think of it the same way as the radio in your car, how it's a wireless receiver, and the radio tower miles away is the wireless transmitter, or how your Wi-Fi router in your house is your transmitter and the receiver is the Wi-Fi card in your laptop or phone. So I'm going to try my best now to break down this concept of resonant frequency. But you can see actually they're telling us there is a bell that was inside, or maybe is currently inside. I haven't actually seen that before, but there is a bell inside of this pagoda itself. So it makes you wonder if all these bells were being rung at the same time. Visualize how much sound, how much frequency would be going through the air, causing these various thousands of pagodas all around the city to resonate. And then you wonder, what is the effect of that? Nobody has really ever tested this before. So I think that we need to put more scientific research into resonant frequencies, the study of cymatics, and to better understand what the function of these buildings were, because in my opinion, they were not just spiritual, they were not just decorative, these had a function to them. But you can see actually, they're telling us there is a bell that was inside, or maybe is currently inside. I haven't actually seen that before. But there is a bell inside of this pagoda itself. So it makes you wonder if all these bells were being rung at the same time. Visualize how much sound, how much frequency would be going through the air, causing these various thousands of pagodas all around the city to resonate. And then you wonder, what is the effect of that? Nobody has really ever tested this before. So I think that we need to put more scientific research into resonant frequencies, the study of cymatics, and to better understand what the function of these buildings were, because in my opinion, they were not just spiritual, they were not just decorative, these had a function to them. But you can see.
Shout out to the Dice God on TikTok for finding this information, but I just messaged him to see if he can find out who this actual creator is, so we can dive even deeper into this incredible theory. But that was literally all the information that I can find on that specific video. But man, I would love to watch the full video of that. If you think about how those bells were communicating with all those different tower-like objects, it kind of reminds you of like Tesla's theory of wireless electricity, but it's like the ancients had it mastered back in the day. They had helmets where they could communicate, probably telepathic. You know, you just think of something, the frequency just, who knows all the different elements that it's blocking as well wearing that helmet. How interesting is that, guys? Talk to me. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What a dive. Again, if you love this stuff as much as me, don't be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out, it helps us grow, helps us get more like-minded people in here so we can get some answers to these mysteries, man. All right, we have an untouched 138-year-old bell. Let's hear the healing frequencies on this. Make a beautiful sound, and they look cool. It's like it's got some Avatar Last Airbending on there.
That little dude is in your microwave heating up all your food. It does this by creating a really pretty pattern with electricity, and that is one really weird thing to be on the window of a cathedral. What this is a cavity resonator called a magnetron. It uses an electromagnetic field to swirl electrons into microwave frequencies. If you live in Russia, you can put it on a stick and blow things up with it. Don't do that. Microwaves can damage your DNA, and they can also light up LEDs if they get too close to the magnetron. If you put a magnet on a motor and one on a ping pong ball, you can make a speaker do the same thing. Both of these are doing what our cathedral homies would call alchemy. They're taking a wave and making it another form of wave. But the speaker can show you the pattern. The pattern in the magnetron can be recreated using a speaker with water. That is called cymatics, and this one's from my friend Cadboy. So what does this actually tell us? Well, if you follow me, then you'll know that the ancients were very well aware of this. They put it on literally everything. Cathedrals are no different. This one happens to be St. Vitus Cathedral in Prague. Above the pipe organ's glass pipes, you're going to see something that should look familiar at this point. That is the rose window in the same pattern that you just saw in the cymatic. Yes, the cathedral's ambulatory shares the same geometry as the magnetron. And Tanya Harris did this cool experiment where she recorded silent cathedrals. Now, if you amplify the silence, it will create the same geometry as the rose window. That was page 136 and 137 of Cryptex. If this video got you going, it would benefit you greatly to check that out. This is Base Forge, and I make the content that they won't because I love you more than they ever will. That little...
I just find it how interesting that all these ancient cathedrals, you can see the harmonics and it matches the windows. You know, we're not getting the full story. Those Rockefeller textbooks, they're not touching a minute surface on the actual truth of what our ancestors were on, man. It's that time of the day again. If you thought I was going to give you another excellent specimen of the day today, think again, bucko. Hi, using. Man, where do I begin? Aragonite on Chrysola? I have no idea what that is, man, but this is crazy. The rating I'm gonna give this for the uniqueness, color, man, I would have to give this a 9.4. This is a crazy specimen. And I don't know what to call this, man. This is so peculiar. Like, I can feel the neurons firing in my brain trying to process this. There's so much going on. The color, the crystals at the top. Maybe if I look at it from this angle, I can kind of get a name. What'd I say, 9.4? Yeah, it's up there. 9.4, 9.5. And I will call this Antarctic's hand. You know, like Antarctic got a hand. You know, that's the best I got. Antarctic's hand, 9.4. What would you name this? And drop it in the comments below.
So the technological singularity has to do primarily with the technology of the 5G towers, which have been upgraded to 6G terahertz, which is 1,000 times more powerful than 5G waves. We now have millimeter waves under 6G terahertz. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Then we have NATO airplanes dumping smart dust particulates, biosensors full of graphene, aluminum, titanium, lithium, strontium, barium, etc., arsenic poison, probably. Anyway, they've been dumping that like every 10 minutes, 16 hours a day, everywhere in the world for 2 years now. And previously, they were dumping it at a slower pace. That's 7G technology. In other words, it's still the 6G terahertz electronic energy, but now that energy is bouncing off all the air pollution, all the particulates in the sky, and it's bouncing off all the bunny rabbits and squirrels and birds and bees. The bees are all augmented now with the smart dust. All the humans that are out there are running and cycling and getting out and hiking up Half Dome in Yosemite Park and going to see what's left of Glacier National Park. There are no glaciers in Glacier National Park. If you didn't know, it's Glacier National Park minus the glaciers. But if you're out there getting exercise and feeling good about yourself, just know you're polluting the heck out of your skin, your eyes, your breathable air, your lungs are ingesting all of these nanoparticulates, which include biosensors, which hook you up to the cloud, which hook you up to each other and turn you into a human antenna. And God forbid if you are aglow with radio frequency. But my point is that whatever radio frequency weapons that we had 5 years ago are greatly enhanced by the air pollution and the weather warfare, because not only can the pollution particulates in our sky that linger for days, not only are those particulates capable of trace tracking and targeting humans in zip codes, they also can modify the weather. They can make a cold day colder, a hot day hotter. They can make it windy when it's not. They can be used to make it rain, and then rain down the particulates into the groundwater and onto the lawn in your park and into your children's playgrounds. So the technological
testing. You know, the absolute scary part about all this is that I thought we could use a regular microscope you can get off Amazon and actually spot these different air particulates under a microscope, get a sample or something. But I learned that you need an electron microscope in order to see nanoparticulates. So in order to even look under an electron microscope, those things cost 6 figures. Look at this. Electron microscope for sale. Look at this. They want $77,000 for this electron microscope. This one's $17,000. It's very expensive. $71,000. You know, is it possible to buy an electron microscope? Let's just see how much they want. Oh my goodness. You know it's outrageous if they say, please inquire. So yeah, the worst part about these nanoparticulates and stuff, we can't see it unless you have an electron microscope. If you got another way to view them, please drop it in the comments below. I doubt that they have community electron microscopes like the library you can go and rent out and test stuff, but man, it makes you think, did they do this on purpose so nobody could see it?
I don't think you understand how powerful these are. This is 432 Hz golden ratio. It completely and utterly quantum leapt and changed my life. And that is because it raises your frequency, resets your brain so you can become whoever you want to be, and even heals body, mind, and emotion.
That did kind of wake me up a little bit.
Look what they spotted in the Antarctica, a ship from the past. Could this be a time traveler or a ship coming from outside the Antarctica walls? Let me know in the comments.
I know a pirate ship wouldn't last that long near the Antarctic because you have to constantly knock off the ice on the ship. If not, you know, the ship will go down because it will weigh too much. I watch way too much Deadliest Catch to tell you that a wooden ship, by the looks of it, you know, that thing is going to get covered in ice. So unless they got a crew knocking it off, then it's I don't know about this one, but it is interesting. Fake lovers, you give, they take.
They love what you do for them. They love how your empathy makes them feel understood without having to do the emotional work themselves. You already know this feeling. The relationship where you give emotional labor constantly but receive only surface-level affection in return. Where your deep insights are met with shallow responses. Where your vulnerability is treated as entertainment rather than sacred truth. The false lover doesn't love you.
That right there is a black diamond apple. They're grown high in the mountains of Tibet near Ningxi, over 10,000 feet above sea level. At that altitude, the sunlight is more intense and the air is thinner. Days are bright, nights drop cold fast, and that temperature swing builds up anthocyanin in the skin. Production is limited, and they're not widely exported. Flavor-wise, they're known for being sweet low in acidity and firm. How do you like those apples? Straight from the fish tank. That right there is a black diamond.
How you like those apples? No pun intended. I would like to try one. They have so many exotic fruits. I believe that there's a fruit that's grown in the tropical regions that actually tastes like gummy worms.
Let's try the gummy worm fruit. Right here we have Cecropia.
He been smashing those fruits. You know it's good if you wearing it on your face. He been sitting here smashing that tree.
Man, that's delicious. It tastes like a mix of honeydew melon and figs. Very good fruit from Central America. Like you can just see the juice coming out of them.
Are you wasting it?
And it's awesome how they just slide off like tails. So yeah, they're called gummy worm fruits. They kind of look like gummy worms. This is a big improved cultivar that Gary Zill's father brought to the U.S. from Costa Rica.
Guys, the gummy worm fruits are back. Let's harvest some and dehydrate. Check this out. Oh my gosh. How long it is. The flavor on this fruit is something like figs and kiwi. I kid you not, it's a fruit everyone must try. I'm gonna be dehydrating these so I can ship them all across the US. Let me know if you're interested.
Yeah, I would love some. I actually looked up a tree. I saw someone actually selling one of those trees. I forgot what they do. They like take like a branch and they like wrap it with tape and they break it off and put it in soil and then you can grow a whole new tree. I saw someone selling one of those. They wanted $300, you know, but I don't have the climate that snows where I'm at. But if you're in like the southern states, you can get away with growing one of those. It's called like the Cephas tree or something, but if you just type in gummy worm fruit, I'm sure it'll pop up. If you tried it, let us know in the comments below. That's all we got for today's video. I really enjoyed this about the bells and frequency. That deep dive, that was insane. I could do this for hours, man, but I want to get this off to you guys early. Be sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out, and the code word for today is ancient bells. Go ahead and drop ancient bells in the comments below. When you do that, that shows me you're a real one. You made it all the way through the video and you really rock with your boy. And I just want to say thank you for your support, all your words of encouragement, just hanging out with me, man. We got such a beautiful family here. It's an amazing experience. And I just want to say thank you all for that. This was the most mysterious footage on the internet today. See you later.